thank you to a new edition of Public Health is Everybody's Business. My name is Mark Oram. I'm the health agent for the town of Ashland, and I will be your host today. And with me, I have Diane Passifaro. Diane's our food inspector, our part-time food inspector. You've been with us for 2 years or so now, Diane?
Just about 2.5 years.
2.5 years. They do fly, don't they?
Yes.
And thankfully we have, Diane, because we have quite a few food facilities in Ashland that do require inspections. And at the same time, we have many other events as well that we're constantly involved with. Just for today, we're opening up a new living quarters for a nursing home, which includes food, and that takes up some of our schedule as well. But today we're going to be talking about holiday safety as it relates to food safety and the many issues that can arise within your own home, as well as the many issues that, or let's say the many techniques that can take place to make it a safe holiday function. Right now, we're just taping just into the holiday season, so we'll be talking not just about turkey tips, but other holiday foods. Eggnog comes to mind because we've been chatting a little bit prior to this. But what I think some of the most important items are, and I'll ask Diane to go over them, are some list we have here about holiday food safety. One of them, which we constantly stress when we're inspecting our food facilities, is related to the 20-second 2 happy birthday songs. What am I getting to, Diane?
Hand washing. There are many reasons why someone can get a foodborne illness. Hand hygiene is a perfect example for that. Also not cooking and not preparing foods while you're sick. That all goes together with the proper hygiene. Properly cooking the meats or foods to the correct temperatures. And I know those, there's a lot of information out there for food safety. We'll give some websites at the end that people can refer back to. They're really great websites, kind of going over and going more in depth than what we're talking about today. And sanitizing. So basically, making sure sanitizing with a wipe to eliminate the bacteria. But hand hygiene is definitely something that we stress a lot during food inspections. I personally liked the 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000 because we all sing at a different rate. But if you do the counting, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, you're pretty much guaranteed to do the 20 seconds.
Unless I go 1,000, 2.
That is true.
I like singing happy birthday to myself twice.
It's nice. If you want to feel special every day, then and you should feel special every day because you should be washing your hands every day.
That is correct. And not just every day, but quite often through the day. And especially prior to food preparation, if you went over and petted your dog or your cat or whatever kind of pet, especially if you had a turtles or something, no matter what type of pet you might have, you need to wash your hands before getting back into the food preparation or food handling. So
touching any raw meat. So around the holidays, I'm sure people have a lot of turkeys. So whenever you're handling that raw juice, it's really important to take the turkey out of the sink before you start washing your hands, but definitely wash your hands even in a different location. If you're still preparing the turkey in the sink, you can definitely wash your hands at a different location. And it's really important to dry. Sometimes people forget to dry their hands. It's all about the friction. So taking a disposable towel, so say a napkin or a paper towel, that extra friction of wiping your hands dry actually removes more bacteria.
So when you're out shopping, I think one of the important items on your list is to make sure you have plenty of paper towels.
Especially for the holidays. Yep. I heard for it's dabbing turkeys, to dab them and dry them up is really important, and you can do so with paper towels.
Well, you bring up turkeys. Maybe we'll talk about a few turkey tips, or maybe even some issues that have occurred and how we can correct them. It just came to mind as I was with some buddies last night. We were talking about when people use the deep fryers for turkeys, that they say it's very important to keep that turkey dry as possible. Safety issue as well, but they said sometimes you can use up to a half a paper roll of paper towels. Obviously, you don't want to be using a towel that you may use to wipe your hands later. And I think that brings out to light the issue of cross-contamination. We see that seems to be one of our constants that we're dealing with as it relates to food safety. And maybe if you can go over some tips with the turkey so you don't cross-contaminate, maybe the use of sponges versus wiping cloths. You mentioned wiping cloths, maybe the type.
Yeah, I think one of the large misconception is having to rinse raw meats, whether it be chicken breasts or chicken legs, turkeys. There's no proven fact that rinsing does anything to minimize the amount of bacteria.
So we can stop just on that, because I, for years, have seen my mother, as well as I follow through family tradition to put the turkey in the sink and rinse it down a little bit and then pat it with salt. I mean, that's been the process as I grew up, and only because in my mindset back then, and as I know now, you're not supposed to do that, but that would be better, and you were going to lead to the fact that it's not. If anything, it's probably worse.
It might be worse due to the fact that when you're rinsing, when you're doing that activity, that bacteria can spread. Experts say up to 3 feet. So it's really important. I mean, you don't know what's 3 feet away on the counter. Is it the brownies that you left out for the dessert for that evening? Is it clean dishes? So if you think of it in that way, it's best. There's really no need to rinse off chicken, rinse off turkey, rinse off any meat for that matter. You're cooking it to a temperature where that bacteria is supposed to be killed. So as long as you properly cook it to that temperature, there should be no issue. And you're eliminating the chance of cross-contamination.
That is a very important fact that I can say this year, and I hope many people listening will do the same, is the turkey's going to be unwrapped. I'll take out whatever is packaged within it, put the stuffing in, no washing. The turkey's quite large this year. We have quite a few people, so we have a 22-pound turkey, and I can actually visualize putting the faucet on in the sink and it would splatter just because it's such a big turkey and it's going to be almost above the sink. So we'll make sure on that, and it'll be my first year ever not washing a turkey. And I can be assured by the cooking temperature at the right temperatures per the instructions that bacteria will be killed. So that mindset will go away, and I hope everyone listening realizes too how important it is to not wash the turkey down. And
we can segue into sanitizing. So if you do need to rinse off that turkey for any reason, sometimes perhaps it's not all the way thawed and you can't get that bag out. Maybe do it at a lower velocity so it's not splattering. It's just enough just to wedge that bag out. And then we can talk about...
Which I've had trouble with many a time. Exactly what I have to do.
So we can talk about sanitizing. So whenever you're dealing with raw meat products, again, you want to segregate. You want to have a clear countertop. You don't want to have anything around. You don't want to have the wine glasses. You don't want to have the brownie desserts. Keep it as clear. Just keep it as clear as possible.
Well, while I'm doing that cleaning, sanitizing of the counter space, I mentioned it, and maybe we should reiterate the use of what type of wiping cloths and sponges. Are they okay? And if you could touch on that a little bit.
Sponges, I think on one of the websites that will give you at the end, I believe they mention sponge use is okay, but if not used properly, if it's not dried properly, it can definitely transfer a lot of bacteria onto the counter surfaces. So I think what would be best, and as you said, many paper towels. Use something disposable, especially at this big holiday feast. And you want to always wash the counter down first. Make sure the juices are picked up. Make sure there's any food debris. Make sure that's all picked up. And then wipe it down and then sanitize. Sanitizing is the last step. You want to wash it down, rinse it down, and then sanitize. You can sanitize with just your household bleach.
How much bleach, though? I mean, that could smell up the house if you use too much and be dangerous, I guess.
Right. So they say that it's 1 gallon. If chemistry-wise, 1 gallon of water to 1 tablespoon of bleach, just common household bleach.
That's not a lot of bleach. You could fill up your sink and probably have maybe 2 gallons and just 2 tablespoons of bleach. So
yeah, and that should give you the correct concentration.
Yeah. I know years ago they also compared the tablespoon to a shot of a liquid, like a liquid liquor. So pretty much the same amount would be a tablespoon. So if you're listening at home, that's important not to use too much and not too little. And warm water, not hot water, not cold water, if you're going to fill your sink up with bleach and water to properly sanitize. The restaurants, they follow this process all the time, but these processes that we are talking about are very important at home as well, especially when you're dealing with raw poultry and meats and everything.
Your kitchen should be a restaurant.
Yeah.
It should be cleaned like a restaurant.
Exactly.
Food should be cooked like a restaurant. You're serving, as like a restaurant serves the public, you're even serving a more dear population. That's your own family. So you should be taking all of these food safety aspects and working them into your daily operation every day, especially around the holidays when you're cooking for large groups.
And yeah, a large group could include the older and younger people within your family and friends. And
the elderly.
Yeah, and obviously if they were to get ill, and we don't wish that on anyone, it's very difficult for someone that's elderly or younger of age to try to fight food poisoning. Food poisoning is a very serious issue that we try to prevent every day in our daily work, but we obviously want to spread the news to people in your household how important it is, especially as you said, we have larger groups of people eating together, which is fantastic, but at the same time, as long as we're taking that extra precaution at the beginning of preparation, it will go a long ways. And then that's just the beginning. There's the greatest part is eating, obviously. Everyone enjoys that, and that's just have fun. We don't want to make the holidays so they're not fun, but then you have your leftovers. And what are we going to do? What are you going to... I know everyone probably knows you just don't leave it out for a long time period. And there's been recommendations from some of the literature we went through on these websites that we'll give. Some say more than the others. What's your professional recommendation?
My professional and personal recommendation is, when you serve the food, when you have it out on the buffet, when you have it out on the table, just leave it out for about an hour. I don't know if anyone wants to eat over an hour, they'll blow up like a balloon. But I think have it out for an hour, and then what you want to do is you don't want to just put the entire leftover turkey as a whole in the refrigerator. You want to, the cold air might not penetrate inside of that turkey enough to get the inside of that turkey cold enough.
So slice it down.
So you want to slice it down, slice it, put it in on a dish, on a plate, no more than a couple of inches thick, is what I tell industries. You don't want to. you always want to side on the air of caution. So I say 2 inches, so someone might do a little more. So you want to err on the side of be conservative. So no more when it comes to mashed potatoes, when it comes to turkey, when it comes to the stuffing. You want to put it in containers no more than 2 inches. And you should always leave the covers kind of off kilter so that the heat can escape. Because if the heat gets trapped in there, it's going to keep the food warm.
So Diane, there's one thing I missed, and that was the actual cooking process of the turkey. And I know you and I had a chat earlier about how the industry has prepared most turkeys now with the little pop-up indicator. But at the same time, I'm starting to hear and reading about the fact that maybe we should be doing it a different way, determining when the turkey is fully cooked.
Yeah, I like to see a number. I know my food temperature numbers, and you at home can also find those out at the websites we'll give at the end. Great website to find out cooking temperatures, and I personally have one at home. It's a digital food thermometer. I prefer, and it's in my professional opinion, I actually tell all the restaurants all the time, I recommend digital food thermometer against those meat thermometers that you can get at the store with the dial. That way you can calibrate it, and it's also more instantaneous. It's quick. With the dial ones, you have to sit there for a long time. So really, I prefer and recommend digital to everyone.
But if you don't have the option, the dial thermometer is still better
is
than
the
waiting
way
on
to
the
go.
pop-up.
Definitely,
Okay.
without a doubt. And
Sometimes
you
you
just
won't-
stick it in the thickest part of the meat.
Yep, that's important.
And you want to do, you want to do a few temperatures. You want to do one here at the breast. You want to do one here at the thigh, inside the legs, and especially also people might forget, but the stuffing. You really want to make sure that stuffing is at 165. So the turkey meat should be at 165. The stuffing should be at 165. So sometimes I even go to the 180 mark.
So you have that as a tool.
And I guarantee you it will fall off the bone, even
Oh,
at 165.
Yeah, and so we know the 165 degree Fahrenheit. We have that as a tool. The pop-up is really not even a secondary, but maybe the last resort. But the other thing too is you can look at the temperature charts and time charts if you know it says a 22-pound turkey needs to be cooked for, say, 5 hours, and you know that if you see the pop-up go up at 3 hours, you know something's wrong. Or either that, your oven's not set at the right temperature, and they give you the temperatures. If I'm not mistaken, I think it's 325, 350,
I
somewhere in
believe
that
so,
range.
yes.
I've done a few of them myself, and they usually come out okay, and I'm proud to say I can cook a turkey. I try my best. I like to cook as well. But another point you bring out is the dressing. I'm glad you brought that out, that we should check the temperature of that as well as the darker meat at the legs and the thigh, as well as the inner breast side, not the deepest part, not the outside, because that's going to be at the hot level. So as we go through other products, one of them, we talked in general about sanitizing, hand washing. Don't cook if you're ill. Don't even entertain if you're ill. You shouldn't be near guests. Another area is, I brought up eggnog. I don't know how many people would end up buying non-processed eggnog, but if they do, and they're going to make their own, it's very important, I think, that it's understood that you shouldn't be using raw eggs. Raw eggs shouldn't be used in any products, as far as I'm concerned, in today's world. I know they have been in the past, but in most of our restaurants, in all of our restaurants, if they're using a raw egg product, they use a pasteurized raw egg product. And you can buy that on the market. It usually sells in like a juice container.
Cartons.
A carton. So, if you are thinking about making your own products with raw eggs, do remember you need to have pasteurized raw eggs to do that. And that's available at your stores. washing fruits and vegetables. I know that's an important area too that tends to get forgotten.
Yeah, and you can definitely do that. Rather than soaking them, you can soak them, but the very last step should be rinsing, a constant flow through the fruits and vegetables.
So now we have all that, and we're going to have a great meal, but you know, there's nothing like leftovers. There's nothing like it. You know, having a turkey sandwich, hot with a hot dressing, or maybe even reheating. Maybe you have enough turkey to have another whole meal. And I think reheating sometimes, after proper cooling that we discussed, can be another major avenue of concern if not done properly. So if you could maybe touch on the reheating to some degree.
I think when it comes to reheating, if you're going to be eating the food product right away, microwave beeps, you sit down, you eat it. It really doesn't need to be any certain temperature. But if you're going to, you know, say you're reheating a whole bunch of stuffing and you're bringing it to grandma's, you want to reheat that to 165, and you want to keep it hot. I'm throwing out numbers out here, but it should be maintained at 140. So you want to really reheat it really hot and maintain it if you're doing any traveling. Try to insulate that container of hot food as well as best you can during transport, especially in the cold winter months. And again, you know, once you get to that location, if you're not holding it correctly, then you should really just discard it. When in doubt, throw it out.
Yes.
So it should really be discarded within probably a couple of hours is usually a safe bet. Bacteria grows the fastest at body temperature. That's why you don't want to have foods out at a low temperature, like say 90 to 100. For a long period of time.
And even
the same thing goes in the summertime when it's hot, 80 degrees, 90 degrees. You don't want to have food out without temperature control for over 2 hours.
And today, as we're taping, it's kind of cool outside, but the car is fairly warm. I know you would disagree to some part, but in the summer your car can get above 100. It's not at the temperature of 140 or higher that you would want your food to stay at. And it's going to cool down when you're in it. And then the other side of it, it doesn't get down usually past 40 degrees or 41 degrees. So there's a great chance if you don't insulate that food when you transport. We're almost wrapping up here. We got a few more minutes, but I think we've covered most of it. Again, we want everyone to have a safe and healthy holiday. And safety is another area that just be careful. I just heard last night from some friends that they use a fryer-lator outside, whatever they call them, the portable fryer-lators. Now, they're not a fryer-lator, but they're the hot oil cooking units that you can get. And it's very important, too, that you make sure that turkey is fully defrosted and has no frost in it, no moisture on the outside. That's where the paper towels come in handy, because I guess it can be some splashback from the hot oils and so forth. So be aware of that if you're doing that. I've never actually cooked or fryer-lated a turkey, but I know that's a concern that I heard just last night.
Should we talk about the grease and not to throw it down your drain?
Oh, definitely. The oils, the hot oils, definitely. Good point. Yes. If you do have this oil, you put it back in the original container. They usually sell them with the container, and dispose of it properly. Might it be at your transfer station, or maybe deliver it to someone that can handle oils and grease. That's the only problem, is if you do that, you could be seizing up a septic system if you're on your own local your own on-site septic system, or worse than that, you could be, just as bad as that, I should say, is you could be clogging up the pipes in the house, as well as further downstream with the sewer pipes. So that's very important. Some of the websites that we keep mentioning, one is fightback.org, and they will put it up on the screen for us. And there was one other one from the
foodsafety.gov.
And foodsafety.gov. Those are two great sites. As we're wrapping up for the holidays, it is that time of year where we want everyone to get their flu shots. So if you haven't gotten your flu shot, Especially here in Ashland, we're very fortunate to have 4 pharmacies. They offer flu shots. If you are visiting your doctor will usually have it available for you. And if you're uninsured or under the age of 19, the Board of Health can arrange for you to get your flu shot. I will leave our contact information, which I'll ask them to put up on the screen as well. For either Diane or I, we work at the Town Hall. It's the Ashland Board of Health. We're at 508-881-0100, extension 7922. That'll go to my phone directly, and I'll get you to the appropriate people. Might it be our health nurse, might it be Diane, if it's a food-related question, and I can try to help you with that as well. I think we covered everything. Is there any, outside of the great work you've been doing, I thank you for all the general food inspections. I know our vendors are very appreciative when you've offered the training course on food safety. You can be assured that our food facilities and vendors, food establishment vendors, are aware of food safety. They're not just inspected, but we also make sure they're educated, and they are required to have education as well. Outside of that, Diane, thank you so much for being on my first edition of Public Health is Everybody's Business here at our new studio, which has been here for a couple of years. And I hope to have you on maybe for summertime safety issues, and we'll go from there. Thanks
Great,
again.
thank you.
You're welcome.